And so my follow-up question would be, does Ron DeSantis owe Trump a bit of loyalty? And the loyalty that may need to be shown is give this man his flowers. The storm that was supposed to take the entire country only hit Florida. And there are some takeaways from that that we need to discuss as it relates to Donald Trump. And so I want to start here by analogizing what's going on with Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis to the movie Blood In, Blood Out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Blood In, Blood Out. I think it was 1993. It's a movie about East Los Angeles and gang culture in East Los Angeles. And it made me think of what's going on with Donald Trump. It's Trump in, Trump out. It's like a gang. And so last night I was having conversations, or we kept bumping into conversations about Trump versus DeSantis. And I was like, hey, man, I think perhaps we need to be a bit more loyal, a bit more respectful of Donald Trump. That was my position, because it seemed like everybody was kind of ganging up on Trump, or everybody's hopping on the DeSantis bandwagon. And I'm asking the question and saying, like, hey, don't we got to be a little bit more respectful? If Trump created DeSantis, if he created the room for DeSantis, if he created Carrie Lake, if not for the Trump presidency, would Ron DeSantis be behaving and acting and governing the way that he has in order to create that red tsunami that they had in Florida? And so I'm saying, or asking the question, do we not owe Trump some loyalty because we know he's got blood in the game, that he will not sell out because he has no choice? They're trying to put him in jail. And it's great what Ron DeSantis has done in Florida, but does he really have blood in the game? And I say that blood in, blood out is because in order to, I can't remember the name of the gang they had in Blood In, Blood Out, but in order to be let into that gang, you had to kill somebody. You had to have real skin in the game. And there were people that wanted to be in the gang, but they didn't have a teardrop. They hadn't put the necessary time in. They hadn't been through all the fires, and so you couldn't get in the gang. And then, once you were in, again, the blood in, blood out, the only way to get out was through death. And I asked that about Trump in this situation. Don't we owe him that kind of loyalty? It's his gang. He started it. He's on the firing lines. And it's great what Ron DeSantis has done, but when the bullets really start flying Ron DeSantis' direction, will he be as loyal to people that want to see things disrupted as Donald Trump has been? And so, Delano, we've had this discussion before on the show.
Yeah.
You certainly prefer Ron DeSantis. What do you think of my blood in, blood out analogy?
I will answer your question in terms of, do we, the people, owe the former president, President Trump, a sense of loyalty as it relates to a potential matchup with him and Governor Ron DeSantis? And the answer to that is no. We don't owe him anything. We elect people to represent us, right? We don't serve our elected representatives. They owe us loyalty. So I think part of the problem is that all of us, Republican, Democrat, conservative, progressive, liberal, whatever, libertarian, tend to get the order of affection wrong. So it's like when politicians start talking as if everything is about me, what I want, what I think. It's like, nah, they need to be put in check. I don't care what party they represent. So I don't think we owe him. I think if the people feel that Donald Trump is a better representative and fighter for their values than Ron DeSantis, then they'll choose him in 2024. But that being said, DeSantis is different than, let's say, Carrie Lake, because we're seeing Ron DeSantis, the governor, not the candidate in 2018 that won by less than 60,000 votes. That's where Carrie Lake is. Because DeSantis very well, if things didn't go in a different way, and I think some people have attributed this to a group of black mothers in Florida who were very much pro school choice, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to fight for you." And a lot of people say that they got him over the hump. But Florida could be being governed right now by Andrew Gillum, a guy who has a serious drug problem and some other personal problems. So the state was fortunate to get DeSantis as governor, and he governed well for 4 years. Carrie Lake doesn't have that on her resume, so she's not in the same position as DeSantis. So it may be that, there's some dynamics there in terms of a female leader and personality traits that some voters don't want. I don't know. I don't know enough about Arizona culture.
Ahead of this conversation a little bit, I want to stick to DeSantis and Trump. But let me frame the question a different way, because you've already said as voters no. Okay. And so my follow-up question would be, does Ron DeSantis owe Trump a bit of loyalty? And the loyalty that may need to be shown is give this man his flowers. There's a way for DeSantis to be the candidate in 24, hold on to Trump's base if you give Trump his flowers. And there's a respectful way, if you're going to unseat Trump, there's a respectful way of going about it. And I think that was part of where my antennas went up last night when we were having discussions. It was like, oh, I'm going to stand, man, let's give this man his respect, his due. He created the Ron DeSantis's. He created room for Carrie Lake to do what she did. Yeah. Let's make sure we give this man his flowers. And DeSantis and these guys need to make sure they do that. Just don't run over Donald Trump.
I think if I give him his flowers to as you said, let's say in the public and speeches or whatever, acknowledge, and I thank President Trump, he supported me in 2018 and helped me seal the victory in Florida, so on and so on and so forth. I have no problem with that. I don't think him being anti-Trump would help him, either as governor or as a potential candidate. But if give him his flowers means don't run if Trump announces that he's running in 2024, then no, he does not owe him that at all. Because an election is not about the person running. It is about the will of the people. And Jason, as a sports journalist, right, and an athlete, you know this better than most. A guy's window, let's say college football, to be a first-round draft pick or a top 5 draft pick does not stay open forever. Some guys have to strike while the iron is hot. If you're coming off a Heisman and a national championship, you come out. You don't say, well, and this is going to sound weird for me because, I'm a big believer in education. You don't say, well, I'm 15 credits short of getting my BA in communication science and I'm going to go back to college. It's like, no, your stock is never going to be this high again. And there's no telling what happens if you come back that extra year. You could get hurt, you could play poorly, and you can drop. Or, and I'm not going to go into Carrie Lake, but there could be somebody else who rockets up the draft board and they hop over you. So I don't think if again, give him his flowers, give him his due respect is a verbal thing, is a hat tip, is a nod, sure. Right? There's a way in which, for instance, again, I use another sports analogy, that Bill Belichick will give respect to Bill Parcells. But Bill Belichick is no longer the disciple he was when he was with the Giants. He's a man who can stand on his own 2 feet. And I think in the same way, there's a way that DeSantis could say, give a hat tip to Trump. But he does not have to, in my opinion, does not have to kowtow in front of the Trump machine. And if he feels that he's ready to run in 2024, that's exactly what he should do.